What exactly are Pokemon natures? How do they work? What is the best nature for a given Pokemon? Can they be changed? Do they pass down from one parent to their offspring? These are all questions we're going to answer in today's video. What is up, everyone, and welcome back to another Pokemon Scarlet and Violet video. Now, this video will apply to all the Pokemon games, so not specifically Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, but I am making it here in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. In this video, we're going to be looking at Pokemon natures, what they are, how they work, what is the best nature for different types of Pokemon, and can you change them, and what do they do as far as breeding goes. So we're going to try to answer all those questions in today's video. If you are new to the channel, do please consider subscribing, as I will be continuing this series, which is a new series that I'm starting, focused on building competitive Pokemon or Pokemon for raids, whether they be Tera raids in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet or other raids in the future games. So this will be a great reference for you if you're trying to determine the best nature for your Pokemon. Also, if you guys find this video informative, do please drop it a like. The more likes this video gets, the more people it reaches out to, and the more I'm encouraged to continue to make this content for you guys, explaining all the different facets of Pokemon, as it is kind of complicated if you dive deeper into it. And I think everybody should have access to this information, and everybody should be able to make the proper decisions when it comes to natures, IVs, EVs, and all other Pokemon related stats and details. Let's go ahead and dive into an explanation on what Pokemon natures are. All right, everybody, so here we are in PowerPoint. I'm going to show you all the different natures and what they do, and then we'll look at them in game as well. We'll use an example of a Decidueye. So there are 25 Pokemon natures. Every Pokemon has a nature. Most natures outside of the 5 neutral natures give a plus 10% to one stat, a minus 10% to another stat. These natures are randomly assigned in most cases, outside of the usage of certain items and certain event Pokemon. For example, the 7-star Tera raid Pokemon and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet all come with a set nature. For example, Charizard is a modest nature, and Cinderace is an adamant. You can also change these by using mints, although those are only temporary changes. For example, if you give a modest mint to a Pokemon that naturally has a naive nature, it will still have that naive nature, but it will act as if it has a modest nature. Looking here at the neutral natures, there are 5. You can see them there on screen. So we've got hardy, docile, serious, bashful, and quirky. I can think of very few situations where these natures are ideal, other than maybe if you're having a Pokemon that is going to be used as both a special and physical attacker, although those are kind of rare and not as recommended, as you can't really optimize the best with those. We're going to move on to natures that actually matter a little bit more, and starting with attack natures. So here we have lonely, brave, adamant, and naughty. So you can see there that I have an asterisk on brave because that decreases speed. There is one situation where you would want to have slower speed, and we'll cover that later in the video. Just know that if you see a nature with an asterisk there, that applies to the condition we'll talk a little bit later. Adamant here is your best choice, as it increases your attack and decreases your special attack. Pokemon that benefit from this would be Meowscarada, Garchomp, or any other Pokemon that have especially strong physical attacks as opposed to special attacks, and you want to increase the potency of those stats. Other natures here, like naughty and lonely, are not the best, as they reduce your defense or special defense, and you really want to have your defenses as high as possible. And then, of course, prioritize whatever your attacking stat is, whether it's special attack or special defense, and then speed depends on situations. For Tera raids, for example, speed doesn't really matter that much, but in competitive PvP or in just general casual trainer battles, obviously speed matters a lot more. Moving on here to defensive natures, and you can see here that I have 2 highlighted plus the 1 asterisk there, obviously relaxed. Same thing that applies to the previous nature there, where it decreases speed, applies here to relax. We'll talk about this at the end of the video. Our priority natures here are going to be bold and impish. So bold is going to increase your defense at the cost of attack. So if you have a good Pokemon that's good at special attacking, you would want to use this. If you have a Pokemon that's a better attacker and you still want to increase its defense, then an impish nature would be better there, as it would sacrifice some special attack. And if you're not going to use special moves on a Pokemon of an impish nature, then that's optimal. The same way as if you're not going to use special attacks, or if you're not going to use physical attacks on a bold Pokemon, a bold nature is good for that. Moving on to special attack, here modest is our main nature, as that's going to increase our special attack and decrease our attack. So that allows us to optimize and get more damage out of our special attacking Pokemon, such as Miraidon or Sylveon and other Pokemon like that. We've also got a mild nature here, quiet and harsh. Quiet, same rule applies, minus speed, which is useful in one situation. And we're going to go over that later in the video again. Moving on to special defense, you can see here that I've got two of them highlighted again, calm and careful. So calm is going to increase the special defense of a Pokemon and decrease its attack. So if you have a special attacking Pokemon that you want to have a little bit more special defense on, you could go with that nature. And if you have an attacking Pokemon that you want to increase special defense on, you would want to go with careful. So these are Pokemon that are usually more used for support or as kind of buffers or defensive or special defensive walls on your teams, depending on what you're using them for. Support Pokemon in Terra raids or other raid battles that come up later on in different games would benefit from calm and careful natures, as well as the bold and impish nature. Moving on to our last major category, we've got speed natures. So the big ones here are timid and jolly. This nature becomes a lot more relevant in competitive Pokemon. So for example, a Charizard with high special attack and high speed, maybe you want to buff that speed up a little bit more so you can outspeed an opponent's Pokemon. So that is where the timid nature would become really, really useful. Jolly nature is really common on a Garchomp, for example, who is a very, very strong physical attacker. It does benefit from an adamant nature. However, a jolly nature will allow it to outspeed other Garchomps or other Pokemon that threaten it. So you've got a jolly nature there that would help. As far as hasty and naive go, again, I wouldn't recommend them because they do decrease your defensive stats, whether it's defense or physical defense. So if you wanted my recommendation for the best natures for different Pokemon, as far as attacking nature, I would go adamant. As far as defensive natures, you have your options between bold and impish. For special attackers, modest is the choice. For special defense, you've got calm and careful. And then for speed, your options are timid and jolly. Moving on to breeding, we're going to cover this here for just a minute. So you can pass down a nature from a parent Pokemon to its offsprings by that parent Pokemon holding an Everstone. This only applies to the Pokemon's default nature. So if, let's say, for example, you caught a Sylveon that had a naive nature, but you gave it a modest mint, it will pass down that naive nature if you give it an Everstone. If you don't give it an Everstone, it will pass down one of the random 25 natures, which leaves it kind of up to chance what you get. You might get a shiny Pokemon with the wrong nature and great stats, or you might just get a Pokemon with a great nature and poor stats. So if you have a parent whose nature you want to pass down that already has good stats, you do want to give that parent the Everstone. This again only applies to the default original nature that the Pokemon has. Next up, we've got some special conditions where certain stats matter more or less. So for example, Trick Room, a slower Pokemon will actually move first in a Trick Room environment. Priority moves still go first, so moves like Sucker Punch, Bullet Punch, and other moves that have priority will go first, even in a Trick Room environment. So here we are looking at priority moves. So if you have a Pokemon that's very slow but has access to priority moves, you will still go first when facing an opponent. If you and your opponent both have a priority move and you're both trying to use it, the Pokemon that is naturally faster, so that has higher speed or has its speed stat increased, will go first. Priority moves do not work in psychic terrain if they're being used against a Pokemon that is grounded, so keep that in mind. Again, a little bit beyond the scope of this video, but it's still important information and a little bit of a pro tip there for you. I come across this several times whenever I'm playing competitive, and it irks me a lot because I do have a lot of priority moves on my team. So everyone, we have covered natures, a little bit of a brief kind of overview of them, pretty quick there, or hopefully as quick as I could make it for you guys while still covering all the information that is relevant. If you guys want to see a in-game application of this, for example, here we are with a neutral natured Decidueye. So you can see here, these are the maximum stats a level 100 Decidueye can have with perfect IVs and no EV investment. You can see here we have no effort values invested. If you are confused as to what effort values are and IVs are, again, I'm going to cover those in a later video. Each one of those topics will get their own video, but you can see here, these are the stats. So if I come over here to one that I've given a modest mint, you can see that the special attack there does jump up from 236 to 259. That is a 10% increase. And we can see that from 250, the attack stat goes down to 225. With this Decidueye, you would want to prioritize special attacking moves such as Shadow Ball or Energy Ball. We've got another Decidueye here. This one has an adamant nature, so you can see that our special attack dropped there from 236 down to 212. That is a 10% decrease. And then our attack stat went up to 275, again a 10% increase. So with this one, you would want to have more physical moves such as Leaf Blade or Phantom Force or any other kind of setup like that. So that's just a little bit of a kind of showing there with those Pokemon. Again, the natures are just 10% increases to one stat, 10% decrease to another stat. If you guys found this video informative and useful, do please leave it a like, subscribe if you're new, and check out some of my other tips and tricks videos for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, as well as raid builds and BGC content that will be on screen now. And if you'd like to support me on a more personal level, consider becoming a Patreon. Link to the Patreon and the Discord are in the description below. Hope to see you guys in the next video or the next live stream. I do stream Monday, Wednesday, and Friday here on the channel. So if you want to drop by, you are more than welcome to. See you then.